Hallo beautiful people, привет друзья und ganz herzlich willkommen zurück zu meinem Kanal. I hope you guys are doing well and I have to say, I think that today's video is truly the most insightful video I have ever made because we are going to touch on some hot content. We are going to touch on some controversial content and I am going to show you probably what is my own biggest secret when it comes to training my language skills, which I have never really shown before. So that's going to be intriguing. And the other thing is I'm going to destroy a key fallacy. We're going to call it a fallacy when it comes to language learning. So today we're going to look at number one, why most people find language learning to be really difficult. And number two, why people never reach their goal of speaking or why they don't speak like native speakers. Now, if you believe that language learning has all to do with vocabulary and grammar, learning those, learning how to pronounce those, and that's it, then you, my friend, are about to have a bit of a reality check. And honestly, it's not your fault. A lot of the time, the way that language learning products are marketed, the way that our schools and textbooks have marketed language learning or presented language learning, it is very much about the vocab, the grammar, and putting the two together. However, let me give you this scenario. Hey, was geht ab? Nicht schlimm, ma? Hey, keine Ursache. Di niente. No, no pasa nada. See, seeing language just as vocabulary and grammar is like seeing human beings as skin and bones. We are so much more than that, and so is language. And there is this concept in German that we can use because German often has better words than the English language. I'm sorry, but Versprachlichung. Versprachlichung is basically engrossing yourself in the new foreign language in a way that you use it, you learn it as it is spoken in real life. So one of the key things that is going to get you to speak like a native speaker and to be able to use the language like a native speaker is really to focus on the patterns of the language.
Woo, patterns!
Now, what I mean by focusing on patterns is if we take a common dialogue in everyday life or a common expression that is said to us, a question that we are asked like, how are you? Or for example, when someone says thank you, every single language has a different way of responding to these expressions that has nothing to do with direct translation. So, of course, there is way more that we can talk about. And if we didn't have much to talk about on the topic, well, I wouldn't have over 200 videos on my channel about it. But the point here being a simple thing like thank you can have a multitude of responses. In German, you would say, like if somebody says Dankeschön, macht nichts, oder keine Ursache. If we literally translate this in English, we're gonna, well, or even if we try to apply the English way of saying you're welcome, it's not gonna fit. It can be said, but you sound more like a native if you use the actual native phrase or native connotation or twang or spin on it, I would say. So macht nichts in English makes nothing. Just like it makes no sense here. But in German, it's perfectly fine. And then you take a language like Latvian, and we would say ne par ko, which means not about anything, which also just sounds completely bollocks. And even if we take the different speakers of English or different, dialects of English, Americans, Australians, and Brits would answer to thank you in a different way. An Australian would say, no worries, mate. A Brit would say, don't mention it, or not a problem, or something like that. Or that's all right, that's all right. An American we'll probably say, you're welcome. You're welcome, you know. We all have our own ways of saying it. And this is something that if you focus on vocabulary and grammar too much in the kind of theoretical sense, you're not going to learn. And to really be able to learn a foreign language, we have to remove this idea of literally translating. Pick up the patterns of the language. What structure, and yes, vocab and grammar are kind of a foundation below all of this, but you have to see what type of structure does this language use in order to express X in my own language. So for example, take the Russian language. We don't say I have in Russian. You say у меня есть, which is like, to me there is this. So у меня есть сестра, for example. I have a sister. And another example is, you don't say I am a student in German or in Russian. Я студентка. Ich bin Studentin. Ich bin Lehrerin. We don't say I am a. So those are the patterns, so key rules that you should learn when it comes to dialogue and speech, and that's going to enhance your speaking a lot quicker. So the next one, I know this is what you've been waiting for. I'm going to show you guys how I train my speaking by basically jumping through a lot of hurdles, fast tracking, taking that fast track lane at the airport to native-like speech. And this is how to do it. So one of the key things that polyglots don't talk about enough, and this honestly is probably the key reason why I was able to improve my Portuguese at such a rapid rate, because I use a lot of scripting. So why this works and it really gets you speaking fast is because you are training exactly what you would do in real life behind the scenes. So what you're going to see now is that I have 3 resources. Number 1, a native input text. This can be from anything. This can be a simple dialogue on an app. It can be a series of comments. But first of all, what I would do is I'm going to pick a topic that I want to talk about. So for example, at the moment for Monthlyglot, we are focusing on Russian. So I want to level up because I can talk about, you know, basic things, everyday things in Russian, but I can't talk about more advanced structures. I can't talk about the topics like personal development, psychology and stuff like that, that I can talk about in Spanish, German, French, Latvian, English, whatever. So here you will see I have picked out an article about забота о себе, so self-care. How do I know this is self-care? Because I translated it yesterday. So this is the text that I'm working with. And what I will do is I'll write it up, keep it simple first of all. So I'll write up what I want to say, and where there are gaps, I will use a translator. Now, Google Translate is good. What's even better is DeepL. I call it DeepL, but DeepL, you know, we can call it DeepL, DeepL, whatever, it doesn't matter. So what I will use the translator for is sentences that are quite simple, and I will make sure, if it's for a language that I'm not super advanced in, I will word the sentences a lot more simplistically than I would in another language, because I don't necessarily have that way of, you know, ascertaining that it's 100% correct or it's 100% the way that a native speaker would say it. But the thing about DeepL is it is very accurate. This is the resource or the translating tool that is actually behind Lingui. So Lingui, I have mentioned many, many times before, Lingui uses DeepL as its translator. And what you will see, let's put in, for example, so let's put in the phrase, it's not the same. Это не одно и то же, yes, but what you see here is that you are given different options. I have heard это не то же самое more than I have the other one. So this is the option I'm going to pick because it sounds better to me. And then I insert it here. So I put that phrase right there. So I will write out the script. And why do I have this article? Because this is a beautiful thing. and why it's a beautiful thing and it makes my life so much easier is, let's just copy and paste this, for example. When you have an input text and you work with your translator, it gives you phrases that you can literally copy and paste into your own vocabulary and dialogue. Дело не в том. The point is. There you go. I don't need to go and translate, or I don't need to go look up how do I say the point is and find 5 different resources. I have it here. And what I have done in this script is I've taken bits and pieces. It's like copying and pasting and making a beautiful collage. I have taken bits and pieces from the article where I have a real, correctly written Russian and inserted it with my own stuff. So here I also have the bit of English so that I know what I'm talking about as well. Now we come to actually practicing the speaking. I'm going to show you my favorite text-to-speech online tool, which is this one, naturalreaders.com. Unfortunately, they don't have Russian. They have English, they have Spanish and different types of Spanish. They have French, Portuguese, German, Italian, Dutch, and Swedish. They don't, however, have Russian. So my beautiful friend Google Translate is going to have to suffice. But this is how I will practice the learning. And what I'm going to show you is I did this last night. I literally recorded myself. So you can listen. And I will break it down bit by bit to also have the what I'm going to call liaisons in the Russian language correct, because pronunciation, like the way you speak it and the way you read it, are 2 different things. But break it down, practice, record yourself. This is also how I teach accent training, for example, that you break the speech down into its individual components. Learn the phrases, learn how to pronounce it, and you're basically mimicking and creating your own output in that target language without needing to go essentially the really long and boring way. So this is my secret. This is my secret, guys. So I want to see you give it a try. Your little assignment task for the language that you are learning is to copy this method, find some input that you can listen to and take some sentences from, and get your Google document up or word processor or piece of paper, whatever, and create a script, and then learn the script and produce it and create a video. That's a really good task. I get all of my students to create videos, and it really helps and gives you that motivation and momentum for practicing your speaking. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe to never miss out on anything from moi, and I will see you guys next time. Пока-пока, ciao ciao.